This stinks. These guys, like I said, they have the invention, and the FBI come in, confiscated all of their documents, confiscated all their computers, all their blueprints, all the information on this, confiscated everything. So if they were to take it back and have someone go back and actually try to build this thing, they would have seen that it was fully functional and it was legitimate. Because if you go back and read wire fraud under Title 18, 1343, it tells you that you are contacting the people to defraud them, to misrepresent your product, to commit a fraud upon them, that you're asking for something that you have no way or no intentions of sitting down and producing. The thing of it is, these guys actually had the merchandise that would actually back it up, what they were doing. And they could not allow them to do it.
If the investors did not feel defrauded, why don't they get an affidavit from each of the investors that they do not feel they were defrauded and call the government prosecution's bluff? Make them prove that they have.
When I was out there several months ago, that's what I told them. Get affidavits up. You've got 640 investors. Get them to file in affidavits. Now, I already got some, and we put some affidavits into this case in D.C. where the people sit here and said that they were not frauded, that someone actually seen what they're investing in, and they're not happy with the government interfering because the government has now cost them millions of dollars that could have been generated out of this thing because they actually had a contract with Fuji off in Africa.
It's the government's malicious prosecution.
That's exactly right. And the problem of it is their attorneys will not pursue this because that's the reason why if they pursue it and they make the issue that this investment was a legitimate investment, then that means that the government was wrong, and you know and I know we cannot say that the government is wrong and sue them because they made a mistake. So it's better that you take the fall and admit that instead of them admitting that they were wrong.
So sue them without using their attorneys.
Well, that's why when we filed the paperwork in, I went in and I named Eric Holder. I named the United States Doing Business As Corporation, and I put 950 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., and the zip code, which is Eric Holder, which is the Attorney General's office. I put down employees of the corporation, and that was the two judges that was involved, the federal prosecutor that's involved, the 3 FBI agents that was involved, and the 2 public defenders, which were federal attorneys involved. We named them as employees. I went in to clear out the playing field for these guys. What has happened, they got served here Friday. They were real happy, and their attorneys point blank told them, well, you're going to get railroaded anyhow. They're not going to allow you to win, and they're going to railroad you right through this thing.
Well, it went to court in D.C. You filed it last week, right?
Yes, we did. The thing of it is, they got...
Won't it affect the trial on Tuesday?
All right. They got a court hearing on Tuesday out there in California, and they're sitting here saying because they're being charged with a felony, that felony supersedes their civil charge. The point being is, when we did the civil charge, we put this under Title 18, Section 4 of misprision of felony, that we were reporting a crime to a public official to halt the criminal activities of federal employees, and we ran them under RICO, among other things. By all rights, this should put a halt to their trial out there. Now, what has come about, I talked to Dawn here last night and here today a little bit, his attorney decides that he will come in as co-counsel and help them. I said, no, he can't come in as co-counsel. Well, if he does and he screws up, then we can still go back and hang him. I says, no, because if you allow him to come in as co-counsel, then this throws your paperwork out at D.C. because you blamed him and named him as part of the crime.
Oh boy, what a trick.
Allow him to come in, then you have to allow the rest of them to come in. He is trying to trick you into covering their butt.
Oh, wow.
And the thing of it is, they made a comment, well, we'll just go represent ourselves in D.C., and they aren't going to be able to because I listed them as employees to the corporation, and this is where Eric Holder, being the law firm, law office, he's going to have to represent the employees, but also the fact that the United States was named in this, he's also facing the same charges as these people.
The attorney Holder?
Yep. As a co-conspirator. Now, when he starts understanding that there has been a crime committed by his employees, he has an obligation to cover his butt and go back in and bring charges against these federal judges, against this federal prosecutor, against these 2 federal public defenders, and the 3 FBI agents, in order to clear him, because if the United States loses in this, he loses also. So he's going to have to go back in under this Title 18, Section 4, because a crime has been reported to the office, and he's been notified. He's going to have to go back and do an investigation, and once they find out that these guys actually created the merchandise that they were claiming, he's going to have to go back and nail these guys or be a party to it. And if he loses, he's going to get sued also. Which is why I'm telling you people, when we go back and do this, we have to name the United States as a corporation doing business as. We have to keep them in ahead of this because this is going to put Eric Holder in the hot seat every time we file paperwork in.
This gag order is a violation of their freedom of speech.
Well, that's part of the problem too. The thing of it is, though, people, let's go back and deal with reality here.
Isn't it also suppression of evidence?
Yes, it is. And the thing is, we did put the documentation in where, before he got gagged, that this gentleman did validate this battery and did make the deal on this thing. So we put paperwork in, even though he was gagged afterwards, we put the paperwork prior to that in what his statement was. We put it into evidence.